What's up guys, my name is Meridian Culpepper and I'm a storyboard artist working in the animation industry. Websites can be the make or break between a recruiter remembering your work and just clicking next. And while we always know that substance is the most important thing when it comes to your portfolio, you're not actually there in person to make a really good first impression. So what is the first impression? It's your website. If I wasn't working in the animation industry, I would honestly probably go into website design. I took a class in college and I hated it, so I said, never mind. I've summed up the qualities of a successful, memorable portfolio into these 4 categories: navigation, branding, information, and maintenance. All 4 things are super important if you want to make a really good first impression on whoever is browsing your lovely website. Navigation. Nothing is worse than going to a website and not knowing where to click. You're not sure where to go, it takes a bunch of clicks to get there, you zone out, and you just move on to the next website. Recruiters want to get to your work as fast as possible, so it shouldn't be more than 2 clicks till they see your work all lined up. Plus, the more animations and extra things, bits and bobs that you have on a home page, the harder it is for the page to actually load. Wouldn't that be awful to miss out on a job opportunity because your page couldn't load because you had like a billion animations? I speak from experience. You don't have to make the same mistakes I did. Next for navigation is you should separate your work into specific sections. You shouldn't just have one tab and just throw everything at the wall. Separating things into sections shows that you know that these disciplines are different, but it also shows that you know a lot of different disciplines. Don't just say visual development. Well, it could be prop design, environment design, character design, color scripts. Don't just put a tab that says story portfolio, but separate it out. Storyboards, sketches, beats. Be as specific as possible with your tabs. So as recruiters go through, they understand they have this skill, and this skill. I always suggest having a separate tab just for your sketches. Sketches are really important for recruiters to see because they see your thought process. They see how your mind thinks, how you solve problems, how you can approach a potential project. But it doesn't necessarily belong in your main portfolio, but in a separate area. When it comes to displaying storyboards, a lot of people just have the actual storyboards displayed on their website. And while that can be helpful, seeing all of the boards in order, you really need to have a click-through sequence. I like using Google Slides because it's super easy for me to go into my slide and edit it if I need to, and it automatically will update on my website. I don't have to do any re-uploading, I don't have to do any recoding. It's super easy peasy. And by the way, just like a little fun fact, recruiters don't read the dialogue in your sequences, they just go. If you're an animation student, put your sizzle reel right front and center, nice and big. If you want to include maybe 3 or 4 different clips of things that you didn't include in your sizzle reel that may be a little bit longer, go ahead. But displaying your best work is always the best option. Moving on to my second point, branding. One of my favorite things. Branding has become increasingly more important as social media has really helped increase the success of artists finding different gigs. When they look at something, they associate that with you. Remember who you are. I recommend having some sort of logo of your name. It can be easy as just finding a font you like and putting your name and putting it on the website. That's essentially what I did. Next is choosing theme colors for your website that go along with your branding. Choose colors that complement the kind of pieces that you already create. I kind of wanted to stand out. I wanted to do something a little different. And so you have my iconic yellow that I use in my background. It's not just because I like the color, but it's also colorly strategic, I would say, because yellow goes with black and white. In my work are storyboards, which are black and white. So it helps my work actually pop against the yellow. It's actually one of the things recruiters mention when they meet me for the first time. They're like, we just loved that yellow. Now you're in their minds. They didn't even know it was coming. I would pick one main font for the body of all of your information, and then maybe a complementary font that can be kind of like a header or a title, something a little fancy, something a little spicy. Next category is information. Obviously, your website isn't just for displaying your artwork, it's also for communicating who you are, where you come from, what kind of education you have, what kind of classes you've taken. How do you communicate all of this information in a way that is aesthetically pleasing and not annoying? On my website, I have a section that is About Me section. That's where I put all of the little facts about me, everything that you want to know kind of at a first glance. I highly recommend having testimonials. This was something I would have never really thought to put on my website because I'm like, who cares? My work should be enough. It actually isn't enough. Putting testimonials of your professors, of mentors, coworkers, or supervisors, of course, in your industry. It's helpful to hear what other people have to say about what kind of a worker you are. What kind of person am I going to be hiring? And of course, we can't forget about ye old good resume. Resumes are not dead. They're important. Listen to me. Your resume should include all of the fun little facts that you did not include on your website. It shouldn't be a repeat of all of the information that you had in your About Me page. It should go into a little bit more detail because obviously if someone's clicking your resume after looking at your website, they want to know more. So give them more. Well, what do you give? Here are some examples. In my resume, at the very bottom, I have divided into a couple different categories: hard skills and soft skills. You may have heard these terms in other work environments, but basically what this means is your hard skills are the things that you know to do the job. And in what we do, a lot of that is program-based. So if you know Photoshop, that's a hard skill. If you know Storyboard Pro, it's a hard skill. The second and not so obvious thing are soft skills. And don't say things like, I'm a team player, I'm so nice, I get things done in time. Your testimonial should be kind of a clue into what your soft skills could be. What I put in my soft skills section is blue sky boarding. It's basically when someone gives you a prompt or an idea with no script attached and they tell you just to go to town. That's one of my strengths. I love just going to town. Give me a prompt, give me anything, I'll show you 5 different ideas. Also, one of my strengths is pitching. I love pitching sequences. Even if they're kind of doo-doo, I'll pitch it anyways. The last and probably one of the most important points is maintenance. Maintaining your website should be just as important to you as making your website. Whether you're employed or you're not employed, the industry is woo! It goes in and out and you just never know when you'll need that next gig. I update my website weekly. As soon as I create something that I feel like is worthy to be shown on my website, I immediately go in and replace it with my other oldest thing on my website. You always want to make sure you have your latest and greatest that you're showing. And not only it's because you're showing your best work, but you're also telling whoever's visiting your website, look, I'm attentive, I'm active in the industry, I'm here. A lot of times if you have a really old website that hasn't been updated in a couple years, sometimes people will assume maybe you just don't work in the industry anymore. And you don't want them to assume that if you're looking for a job. And just to get you inspired, just to get you going, I'm gonna link some of my favorite portfolio websites in the description below, including one you may be familiar with. And those are my 4 tips on how to make your website stand out to a recruiter. Proud of you guys. Go make some amazing stuff.